and then we'll start talking about the Google Meet app then. I like how people are already putting in chat some things that you like about Google Meet and maybe some things that challenge you about Google Meet. So some of you are saying how easy it is to connect with students. Yeah, that it is nice, especially if you do use Google Classroom. You can connect right to your students from the Google Classroom environment. Okay, so feel free to keep putting things in there and comment back and forth to each other as well. So the Google Meet app, just like with many of the other apps that Google has, you can go to the waffle and go and get the app from there. I will tell you, I rarely go and start a meeting that way because I've either scheduled it and I've started it, created a Google Meet through my calendar, or use the Google Classroom to join with students, or even if I have a Google Classroom created for teachers. But right now you do have an unlimited number of meetings. So what I'm talking about here, a lot of these features are on, this is if you have the G Suite apps for education. This is the free account. This is what I have. This is what many of you have. There's something else out there called the G Suite Enterprise account, and that is the paid Google account. And again, most school districts have the free version. Some school districts are moving over to the enterprise account. So if you ever hear or see the word enterprise along with Google, that means it's their paid account. But in the free account that many of you have, we do have up to a 60-minute meeting that we can meet with our students or co-workers or with parents. So if you know the meeting's going to last longer, you'll just have to create another calendar invite or just get out of the meeting and then go back into it. So it will kick you out of it. So again, what we're finding, even, you know, if we create a classroom, that sometimes that 60-minute limit is good because, you know, you or your students might not want to be on every single class for a total of 60 minutes. Another thing is you will have up to 100 participants can be in your class at a time. And I don't know if anybody's noticed that right now, but with up until September 30th, which is tomorrow, we have, many of you may have the enterprise account pushed out into your free Google account because Google wanted us to experience using some of the other tools that they have that they're pushing out in the enterprise account. But in the enterprise account, I think they have, you could have up to 250 participants in your meeting. But some of the other features here in the Google Meet, you've got closed captioning. So if a student needs to read what you're saying, they can turn closed captioning on. This works across any device that your student has. You can easily mute or remove participants. One nice thing about this is the remove participants, Google Meet has updated. Because let's say you had a student out there, you know, waving in the background or, you know, trying to be funny, even on a virtual meeting, you can, you know, ask them to stop, and if they don't, you can remove them. Now, when we first started removing them, then they could join right back in. Well, after you remove them, they cannot join back in until you end it and then you start another meeting over. So while you have that Google Meet open and you remove one of your students, they can't join back in. Now, if they lose connectivity and you know, they have to join back in, they can, but it's when you physically remove them. And I'll jump into a Google Meet here and show you the difference. But again, you can mute. Eventually, you will have the option to mute all of your students. That, again, they said will be rolled out, I believe, here in September or October, but that wasn't showing up on mine today. What's nice, you can share your screen with this. And anytime you do join a Google Meet, you want to join your Google Meet. And then once you join, you share your screen. Because if you go and join the Google Meet, instead of hitting join and you put present, it'll be a little bit different. So you'll want to hit join, and then once you've joined your Google Meet, then you can present your screen. You've got the chat room available, and now with the new update, you can turn off the chat. If you don't want your students to chat, if their chatting's not meaningful, not part of the class, then you can turn that off. But sometimes, you know, over time, if the kids get used to it, and depending on the age, that chat, you know, if a kid right now is not understanding something, just like if you might not be understanding something and you don't want to interrupt the teacher, you could go ahead and put a question in chat, and if another kid could help you out, then can get you back up to speed instead of waiting until it's an opportune time to ask the teacher. But, you know, through the chat, just like I shared links with you, through the chat, you can do that. You can even put files in the chat. And then another thing you can do with Google Meet, you can record your meetings. So that's nice. And then your recordings then are stored on your Google Drive in a folder called Meet Recordings. So that's all created on the back end for you. Right here, also on slide 6, I have this Google Meet flyer. And so I've got a bunch of links in here. And what I like about this flyer, Google, someone created it from Google. This here on the left-hand side shows upcoming features for the G Suite for Education. So this is what you and I will have for free in our Google Meet. Believe it or not, I just got an email this morning from a few different districts that they thought Google Meet was going away. It's not going away. What's going away as of tomorrow is the enterprise features that are pushed out on our free account. So if you see the breakout rooms today on your free account, you'll have them until tomorrow or until Google takes them away. But then in order to get them back, you have to sign up for the enterprise account. And you might be wondering, oh, why doesn't my school sign up for the enterprise account? Right now, it costs about $24, $25 per teacher to have this enterprise account. And it's just not that it can't be a select few. It's got to be the whole school or nothing. And then once they, you know, give your school district a quote on that, then your students will get these features as well. So it's not as easy as just one teacher being able to get the Google Meet Enterprise edition. It's, again, the whole school or nothing. So just like with some of your subscriptions out there, you could buy a subscription to Screencastify yourself. Your school didn't have to buy that account for all the teachers. But in this case, with the Google Enterprise for Education account, the G Suite Enterprise for Education account, it is for the whole school. So here on the left-hand side, this is what you'll have in your account even after tomorrow. Don't panic if you don't see some of this in your account right now, because some of it's still developing. So they may push it out one day and then realize, oh, there's an error, and then take it down, hopefully fix that error, and then be able to push it out fairly soon. Everything here on the right-hand side, again, this is for the G Suite Enterprise for Education account. Again, you may see that on your account, but Google is saying they will take that away as of September 30th. So here's the difference. If it is kind of confusing to know what you have and what you don't, especially right now since Google has pushed all of this out for free for everyone right now. So if you keep scrolling down, here's some of the, goes into more depth about the Google Meet moderation features here as well. So feel free to take a look at that more in depth as well. That is linked here on slide 6. And then I also just have the broadband overview flyer there for you to look at, because one thing, if you have kids who are getting kicked out all the time, or if you're getting kicked out during video conferencing meetings, if you turn off your webcam, that may help you from not getting kicked out. Again, if you want to know a little bit more information about that, click on this link to learn more about the broadband overview. But the key to that, I know some districts and teachers want to see all of their kids. If that's the case, maybe have everyone turn on their camera for the first few minutes, everybody say hi, and then if some kids do need to turn off their camera, they can turn it off so that they won't have to miss anything if they're getting kicked off and then have to rejoin. And if that's happened to any of you guys, you know how that's a pain. So again, some of the features I just talked about here, the new Meet features in the G Suite apps for education. This is, whoops, sorry, my mouse here. This is what many of us have, the free G Suite apps for education. So here's some different features out there that you will be able to do. Right now, this end meetings for all participants when class is finished. I was in a Google Meet earlier today. That still wasn't pushed out to mine. But eventually we'll have that so that when we enter Google Meet, we don't have to be the last one there, or we don't have to remove the participants one by one if they're not listening to us and not leaving on their own. So feel free to read through slide 7 there. So again, here on slide 8, so how can we interact with Meet? You know, people have complained that, you know, they can't see everyone at one time. So Google Meet has pushed out a layout view here and a grid view so that you can see more people, kind of like people said the Brady Bunch style. Kind of neat how that's coming back around, and kind of, you know, people referring to, you know, these Zoom meetings or video conferencing meetings like the Brady Bunch style. One new feature that is out right now is the collaborative whiteboard in Google Meet, and it's using Jamboard. And if you haven't used Jamboard before, basically it's just your whiteboard on your computer, and we'll go over that as well. This is launching in October, but as of today, mine is out there where I can blur my background. So again, I'll show you that. And then this hand raising, it's not out there on mine today, but again, it could be out on yours. So if you look here at slide 9, here's some features Google Meet has said that they're going to launch or in development. So if you look, whoops, my mouse is just moving all over the place here. If you look at this digital whiteboarding, it's integrating, you know, Jamboard with Meet. That's launched, that's live. But if you see the other ones, it says in development. So what that may mean, you may see it one day and then it may be gone the next day until they've got it out. With it being a web app, you know, they're programming it on the back end, updating it, and pushing out updates at any time. So they may take it down as they are redoing the program of it. So take a look at that. So let me just go ahead and jump into a Google Meet. And you might ask why I didn't do this in a Google Meet instead of Zoom. The number one reason is some districts may not allow some teachers to join a Google Meet outside of your domain. So since my Google account is outside of your domain, and many of you aren't from the same school district either, if I had you join a Google Meet, some people may not have been able to get on to join. So if here in a little bit, if you guys want to try joining a Google Meet together, we can sure do that. So I'm just going to go up here to a new tab. I'm going to go into my classroom and join a Google Meet that way, and I'll have a student join as well. I've got the student account, so I can do this here. And if this gets to be going too slow, let me know, because I've got Zoom running, and then I'll have the Google Meet running here as well. So again, right here, I'm just joining. And it might not work very well here. I'm going to mute it because I am going to join both Blake's, the student, and mine from here. One thing here before you join and your students join, you might see this icon here this is where you can turn on your blur for your background. So they can turn that on before they join. And one other thing that's popping up here is that there is an attendance extension that I've added here. And I put down, it says select the class. I can add a class here as well, and then I select it, and then it will keep track of attendance for me. So let me go over to Blake's here. And I'll go into his classroom. And please, you know, if it's not showing on your screen, let me know in case if it's too slow, let me know, please. So again, for Blake getting ready to show here, I've already blurred his background so you can see the background's blurred. Let me go ahead and turn off his microphone, and then it's letting him join now. Now, if for some reason your students are joining your Google Meet without you being in there first, your Google admin, who's in charge of the back end of Google for your domain, for your district, they will need to turn something off on their end. So if that's happening and your Google admin doesn't know what it is, what they need to turn off, send me an email and I can help them with that. So, because I was working with one district and they were saying, well, kids were joining before the teacher. Again, we just had to go in and check something on the back end. I'm going to turn off my video for Blake here. So let's see if that will help. So right now, let me go back over to the teacher side of it. So right here, we don't see a video of Blake because let's say he's having trouble with his internet connectivity. So he turned that off. And then here I am. So if you want the grid view, if you go down here in the bottom right-hand corner and click on the 3 dots, if I go up here to change layout, here's where I can change my layout. Here's the tile. And if I look right down here for my tiles, I can just use this, click on the dot and scroll it back and forth. So if I only have 9 participants in there, I just want the view of 9. If I've got more than 9, I can just keep moving that along the slider and get how many ever I need. So that's how I can get change the layout here. Also, let's say I went into the Meet and I didn't blur my background. Again, the 3 dots down here, this is where I can turn on my background blur. So there's another spot if I didn't do it right in the beginning. And then if you are hosting the meeting, here's where you can record the meeting right here. And if I record the meeting, you know, it brings up, hey, make sure you let everyone know and that you've got consent to record. If so, hit accept. And it should show up there on the tab that it's recording. I'm going to go ahead and decline it right now. And then when it does record, and I'll show you where it ends up in your Google Drive under Meet Recordings folder. And that was created once I started recording in Google Meets. I can still go at the bottom right and present now. And then the other thing here that I want to talk about is this whiteboard. So it says whiteboard, open a jam. So what I can do, I could start a new whiteboard, or I can choose from my drive. So if I already have one created, and even if I've shared it with the students ahead of time, I could do that and I can just choose it from my drive. If not, I can hit start new Jamboard. And so it will start a new Jamboard. It's saying, hey, Blake's going to need access to the file. So I can share with one person. Do I want to give him viewable rights to it? Or do I want allow him to edit? So if it's a collaborative document that I want students to be able to edit, I can put edit and I can put send. So then it's going to Blake here. And what the digital whiteboard does, then it opens it up in a new tab. So it's got a new tab up here. It's the Jamboard icon because it's the app. And then if I see right here, it automatically names it the class nickname, and it's just what I have it in my Google Classroom. I can click on it and rename it if I want. And do you see how it automatically put the date too? But again, you don't have to if you don't want to. And then so it renames it there. So then here on this interactive whiteboard, then you can put text boxes, sticky notes. If you haven't played around with Jamboard, again, you know, it's like your whiteboard in your classroom, but you've got some other options here. You can even add an image on here. And so you could pull that up and add an image. Now, I made this collaborative, so the share, I've already shared it with Blake, but let's say I want to share it with other people, maybe other people that's not on this Google Meet right now. I can put that in here, and that I can put their email in here and share it with them right away. So if I switch over to Blake here, the Jamboard, if I go up here to the chat, up in the upper right-hand corner, it shows that the teacher shared a Jam file with you during this meeting. So all they have to do is click on that link. Oh, is Jamboard not turned on? Okay, so Jamboard needs to be made sure turned on for the students. So I guess I've never demonstrated sharing a Jamboard with Blake before. So then basically he would be able to, just like any other shared file within the Google apps, he would be able to write on it and everything, but make sure that the kids have access to it as well. And as you can see, that's not turned on for Blake in this account. So let me just go back then to the teacher. So anything I write on here will show up on Blake's if he was able to, and then we could collaborate on this as well. One thing with this Jamboard though, there's no like version history, so you can't see who did what. So if you're wanting kids to collaborate, and you want to see who does what, you still might want them to pull up a Google Slides or Docs or another file that you can see who's doing what. But if you look right up here at the top, this is one of one. If I click on the right arrow, I can add another frame. So I can have 2 frames. I don't know if there's a limit. If anybody wants to find out if there's a limit of how many frames you can have, please put that in chat what the answer is. I don't know that answer to that question, but if you've used Seesaw or some other apps out there, as you can see, it's very similar to some other things out there. But this is just the Jamboard. Again, put a text box in, they can type it in, they can go back and edit, duplicate it, or delete it as well. Has anybody used Jamboard with your students, and have they collaborated on them? All right, feel free if you want to unmute and talk about that, you can. If not, you can put it in chat as well. So then again, this is saved in my Google Drive. So if I close out of it, it's there in my Google Drive for me to access at any time. So going back up here then to the Google Meet, it's just Blake and I in the Google Meet right now. This person icon, I'm at the upper right-hand corner. This shows me who's in my Google Meet. Now, same controls right here. I can remove Blake from here if I want to. I can pin him if I would like him to stay up on my screen. So I've got those controls still. And right now, it hasn't been pushed out to my account. Maybe it's been pushed out to yours, but I don't have the option to mute all, which we should have, you know, very shortly. And then where you can remove all participants at the end. So again, when I am done with the meeting, hopefully everyone leaves. If they don't, you know, Blake's still staying on, I can go over here to the drop down arrow and remove him physically. But before I do that, then I've got this chat. So right now the chat is turned on. So Blake could send a message back to me. But if I see Blake and some other kid keeps chatting and talking back and filling up the chat over there and maybe not paying attention to the lesson, I can turn off that chat. So let me show you where I can turn off that chat here. Do you see where it says let everyone send messages over here to the right? If I just click on that, and then that will turn off. It should. And my mouse is again being finicky. There we go. Had to touch it just right. So then if I go back over to Blake's, what it's going to look like on his, at the bottom right hand side here, chat isn't available at this time. So he can't turn it, the students can't turn it on and off, just the teacher who started the meeting. The other thing, while I'm on the student side right here, we've got, it shows Blake and the teacher. Right now, the students can add people to this. They can invite people, but you can set it up where the people aren't automatically in. And again, if it's outside of your Google domain, it wouldn't work anyway. So if Blake tries to invite this Gmail account, they wouldn't have access into the Google Meet. But let's say Blake invites another classmate that's not in your class that hour. They're just wanting to be funny. Well, if you've got it set up where they have to knock, you can deny them entry. You don't have to accept them. But that's what we're finding with this new feature here, is that some kids are being funny and wanting to add people to the Google Meet. So just FYI, in case if you've got, depending on the age of students you're working with, if you see them adding that. And sometimes with students, when they try things like that, let's say Blake was trying to add another kid, and I'll, if I know how not to make sure that they can't join, I'll let Blake explain that to the other students. So then it kind of takes, that, what's the word I want? Hey, he knows something that the other kids don't know, or thinks he's smarter than the teacher. So sometimes I would give him the floor and let him explain to the rest of the class, how he tried to add some other people to our Google Meet. The other thing up here, so chat is still turned off. When I enable that, then it would allow him to type there. And then if I come up here, I'm calling this the puzzle piece. I don't know. Again, this was pushed out. I don't know what Google is calling this. I haven't came across what they're calling it, but I'm just calling it the puzzle piece for right now. This shows the advanced features. Now, these advanced features are the polls, the Q&A, and the breakout rooms are in the enterprise account. Believe it or not, the polls and the Q&A was live the other day, but when it's in development, you'll see it maybe one day and then see it not there another day. But here's the other thing. I don't have the enterprise account, so after tomorrow, these features will go away. But right now, the breakout rooms, we can have breakout rooms right now. So let me just go and show you this. With this breakout room, did you see this is Blake's account? He can't create breakout rooms, so that's just what it shows up on his. So let me just go back over to the teacher account and show you the breakout rooms. So again, I'll turn the messaging back on so the kids can chat and hopefully help each other. But if I go up to the puzzle piece here on the right-hand side and I go to the breakout rooms, here's the breakout rooms from the teacher side of it. So right now I do have this available to me until Google takes it away, since I don't have the enterprise account. But I've got 2 rooms here. You can have up to 100 rooms if you so need that. If you have that many people, you need that many rooms. And then what you can do, you can have this shuffle, so it just randomly picks who's in each room. You can clear it here. And right down here, it put, so the main room right now is, I will be in. The breakout room, I've got Blake in, and then I can either type guest names here or drag them here, and can, you know, put them in the breakout room. So if this is what I want, if I go down here to create, then it's got Blake in this breakout one, and then I'm in this main room. So right up here, it says breakout rooms are in session. So if I want to go take a look at Blake's and talk to his group, I can go and join at any time. Do you see how this keeps circling back and forth right here to the right-hand side? Blake has to actually join that. So here's Blake's. He's got to, the students have to actually join. And then once they're joining, then they are in their own room. Now, another thing here, if you are wanting to record, the only room that you can record is the main room. You can't record these breakout rooms. And then right up here is saying Blake's in breakout 1. And if he needs to return to the main room, all he has to do is click up here and it will return him back to the main room. If I go back to the teacher side of it, it's showing, hey, I'm the only one in the main room. And then if I need to go to breakout, the breakout room 1, I can just click join, and then it's added me to that breakout room. And I'm in there. And maybe I shouldn't have gone because it's maybe taking too long here. Let me just hit back. So there, I was in the breakout room there. And yeah, I shouldn't have done that because it's slowing me down here. So I'll go back in there, and it's showing that no one else is here because this is the main room. Blake is still in the breakout room. So if I go back to Blake's here, let me return him to the main room. So then he'll go back to the main room. And then so he's back. Whoops. I guess now I'm joining breakout 1. I might just have to close this down here. So then with the teacher here, so no one's in breakout 1, what I can do, go back up to the puzzle piece, go back to my breakout rooms. And if you're done with the breakout rooms, so it's showing that Blake's there, it's still spinning because he needs to join that. So that's an important part. If you do use the breakout rooms and it's still spinning, a kid actually should have a pop-up menu to say join. I can leave it here, or I can go up here to the top. I can end the breakout rooms. I can even edit the breakout rooms. So right now I'll just end the breakout rooms, and then that will bring everyone back to the main room. So if you do have that feature and you don't have the enterprise account, maybe try it before it goes away. But again, you're like, Lisa, why are you showing us some of these things? Because, you know, I don't have the enterprise account. So if you go back to the slide deck here, let me jump down. I didn't talk about every slide, slide by slide, but I can go back to them here. If I jump down here to slide 21, there are some Google Meet extensions out there. Now, I have this one underlined, this attendance for Google Meet. I always used this Google Meet attendance before, but this one, I just learned about attendance for Google Meet. This will take attendance and put all of the data in a Google Sheet for you. So another feature in the Google Meet is that it will take attendance for you in the enterprise account. In the free G Suite apps for education, it will not. So if you add that extension, then you should see, then it will take attendance for you and put it in a Google Sheet. That link that I have there, all of these are linked to the Chrome extension. If you click on that, There's a short video, I think it's a 1-minute video that explains how this takes attendance for you, that you could watch this video right there. And if you look, keep scrolling down, you can see the overview. So don't be hung up or be sad that you don't have the enterprise account if you don't, because there's a lot of extensions out there that do some of the things that are being pushed out in the enterprise account. Like for example, there's an extension called the nod. So if a kid has a question, let's say you don't have the Q&A, but if you have the nod extension, right up here to the left is the nod extension. So if a kid has a question, they can click on that and it shows you at the bottom of the screen, hey, Blake raised his hand. So if I was in Blake's and he clicked on that, if you click on this thumbs up over here on the left, that will give you some other emojis here, and then you can even get more emojis. So here's another way the kids could be, interactive. If you're wondering if the kids are paying attention to you, you could say, okay, give me a thumbs up if you understand, or give me a thumbs down, if you need me to review this again, or whatever it may be. So you can see that here on the left-hand side. Now, the kids will have to have these extensions on their account as well. So if the nod extension wasn't pushed out to the students' accounts, they wouldn't be able to do that. So take some time here on slide 21 and look at some of these different extensions. Some are really helpful, some are kind of fun. This Google Meet party button right here. So this I didn't push out to the kids, but this could just be for the teacher. If it's Blake's birthday or someone's birthday, you can click on that and it just throws confetti over the screen. And it's just something extra out there that they can, you can incorporate into your Google Meet. So any questions or comments? Anybody use some of these extensions or used any of the features that Google has pushed out that may be gone after tomorrow? Okay, so some people have already put some things in chat there. Perfect. Couple other things here then. Let me go back. I think I've talked about that. Oh, one other thing here on slide 11. Again, I've got some, if you are a person who wants to read more about it, I put some links in here about the present and chat controls that you have. Let me go back and explain those. If I go here to the people icon, I can look at my host controls over here on the right-hand side. And here's where I can, if I don't want kids to share their screen, because even in the classroom, there was a way that kids could share their screen up to the big screen. And some kids figured it out and just randomly would push their screen up to the big screen. Sometimes it was something funny. Sometimes it was the class work. They just wanted to show the other students, hey, they know how to do that. Will you have that happening here in Google Meets? You may. So sharing their screen, you could disable that. And then you can enable that if there's a time that you want a kid to share their screen. Here's another place where you can send chat messages here as well. And then if you click on View All Host Settings, here's where you can change that as well. So a couple different things here. Now you may see, or some teachers or students may say, well, they can kind of block out background noises. Again, that feature is just pushed out in the enterprise account. So if you work with a teacher that has the enterprise account and they have some features on here that you don't, it's because they have the enterprise account and you may have the G Suite Apps for Education account. Another way, if you come down here on the left-hand side, here's the host controls as well. You will only see these controls if you are the host of the meeting, if you're the one who created the meeting. So same thing, you can get to up here for host controls, just in a couple different places. And that's here on slide 11. And then slide 13, This talks about some features that are being pushed out in the Enterprise Edition. So again, if you see some things that is in the Enterprise Edition that you would like in your G Suite, G Suite apps for education, there's probably an extension for it. There's even a Google Meet Breakout Room extension that you can add as well. I haven't played around with that, but I may once that goes away after tomorrow. Again, the Q&A and the poll, you could kind of use that nod. There could be another extension out there that could take the place of that. If you do have the Enterprise Edition here, the attendance reports, this is what it's going to look like. You'll receive an email, and right here, it'll show that who was in the meeting, the time they joined, the time exited. But if anybody looks at this, there's an error, and I haven't dug into it. The duration part, it shows that Blake was only in 8 minutes, but do you see it shows that he joined at 8:40 and exited at 8:53. So I don't know why that's coming up. So again, this is something they're pushing out. There may be some errors, so take a look at that. And then this slide 15 kind of just goes into a little bit more detail about the breakout rooms again as well. Again, if you want to know some of the updates and things that they've pushed out, here's all of the updates since April that Google has pushed out for Google Meets. They kind of sped up their processing, their programming of Google Meet because there was much more of a need with this pandemic than there ever was before for video conferencing. So another thing right here at the bottom I do want to point out is this Google Meet quick reference guide. If you click on that, it's just kind of a cheat sheet that, if your kids are new or parents are new to Google Meet, you could share this with them about, kind of diagramming what the Google Meet is. And then again, you can create a Google Meet right from your calendar where it says add conferencing. And right here, it did say Hangouts Meet, but they've migrated over it just saying Google Meet. And it shows up to 250 participants. But as of after tomorrow, they say that it's going down to up to 100 participants. And you can even start or join a meeting in your Gmail account. And then with Classroom, how, again, this came out, I think, in April that they pushed it out, a Google Meet in Classroom. So I know we've got a few minutes left here. I do want to stay on for questions, comments, but I realize some of you might have to get going. I know for some of you, it's been a long day. You've been teaching all day or working with students. Before you do leave, if you could fill out this evaluation, I think it's about 4 questions. It's here on slide 22. And I can put it in the chat as well, that you can access it either place. And if you can fill that out, but feel free to unmute or put questions in chat if you've got questions, and we'll take them now.
Lisa, I'm having time putting something in chat. It's not anyway. So I wondered if you could explain a little bit more about the difference between present and share screen. Like I'm sometimes wanting to present a video, or as in Chorus when we're doing remote, show a video and things like that. So can you just touch on that subject, please?
Yeah, so Sarah, what I found the best way to go is always join the Google Meet yourself. At the beginning where it says join now, go ahead and join now. And then from here, what you need to do is go ahead and click on present now. And what you could do, you could present your entire screen if you want. You could present a window or a Chrome tab. So like you said, if you're wanting to show a video or something with music, for the Chrome tab would be best to show that video in. So if you click on a Chrome tab, then you select the Chrome tab that you have open. So let's say I want to show, I don't think I have any videos open right now, but let's just say this was a video here. I select that video because I already have it open up here. It's this one right here. And then I hit share. And then right here, this is what the kids see. It's just sharing a tab. And then I can play the video from here. And then make sure if for some reason the volume's not working, not playing, right click here up on the tab. So I went, let's say this was a video. If I right click up here, make sure the site is not muted. So how did I get that? So let me just go to YouTube real quick here. And then also up here, do you see on this tab, I've got a little rectangle here. That shows me this is the tab I'm sharing to the students. All the way at the top. So if you've got a bunch of tabs and you're confused which tab the kids are seeing, it will be a blue rectangle here. And then if I want to stop sharing, I'll go ahead and hit stop. Okay, so what I'll do, I've got YouTube up, and let me just click on this one, but that's going to really lag here. Let me hit stop here. Okay, so for me to share, oh, could you see that? Could you see my screen? Okay, my apologies. I didn't realize I wasn't sharing my screen. Sarah, you should have spoke up. Okay, so if I go back to Google Meet, if I go right down here to present now, if I click present now, you've got 3 options to present. Here I'm at the, can you see this in the bottom right-hand corner? Okay. If you're showing a video, the best way to show the video is just present from a Chrome tab. So they will only see one tab at a time. If I want them to see my entire screen and all of the tabs I have open, I click on entire screen. Or if I have multiple windows open and I only want them to see one window, then I can just have them, they can just see one window. But for right now, I'm going to click Chrome tab. And then right here, here's all of my tabs I have open. So what I can do here, if I want to show this video to my students, I click on this and click share. And so then if I come up here to the top of my tabs, you should only be seeing this one tab. If you, as the teacher, if you're forgetting to know which tab you're sharing, it's going to be a blue rectangle up here. And that will let you know that's what you're sharing to your students. And then you can press play. Okay, so then if for some reason they can't hear it or you can't hear it, come up here to this tab and right click on the tab. Make sure for some reason that this tab is not muted. So if it's muted, you just have to hit unmute. So each tab, you have the option to mute or unmute if you need to. And then that should play it. Yeah, and Beth, thanks for putting that in chat, that you couldn't see my screen. Sorry, I didn't see chat until I realized you weren't seeing my screen. Does that help answer your question, Sarah?
Yes, thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. And I do want to honor your time. So again, whenever you guys need to leave, feel free to jump off, but if you can do the evaluation. And then also, I didn't tell you, you can save this Google slide deck here to your drive. So if you go back up here to slide 2, you could either add it as a shortcut to your drive, or you could bookmark it. If you see where my mouse is to the right of the title of this, you should have a triangle with a plus sign right here. I've got a folder here, but if you click on that triangle with the plus sign, you can add this to your drive so then you can access it later. And feel free, you can share it with your colleagues as well if you'd like. I will stop recording.